So when it comes to the pyramids, there's still a lot to figure out. Like, we're not done with it. Hidden chambers, construction techniques, and still, what was its original function? What was its purpose? What was it designed for? It's still a lot when it comes to the pyramids and different things that we've discovered. It's still so much to figure out about a lot of things we've discovered. So this video here is titled "The Secret Vault Under Egyptian Pyramid Open After 5,000 Years." Let's see what these discoveries are.
So apparently, through the use of LiDAR, they have discovered that there are enormous structures underneath the Great Pyramid that go kilometers deep into the earth.
The legendary discovery of King Tut's tomb. Our Kelly Kobiea has more on what's still being discovered in the desert sand a century later.
After lying sealed beneath the sands of Giza for over 5,000 years, a mysterious vault hidden deep under the Great Pyramid has finally been opened, and what it holds is beyond chilling.
Turning to a story that is making headlines around the world, Italian and Scottish researchers, mainly from the University of Pisa, conducted advanced high-frequency radar mapping under Egypt's famous pyramids.
Archaeologists have long speculated about the pyramid's hidden secrets, but no one was prepared for this spine-tingling discovery.
Anybody who tells you that he or she knows how the pyramids were built are not telling the truth, because we don't know.
Packed with artifacts, eerie carvings, and inexplicable structures, the vault raises more questions than answers.
That's crazy, even after all these years. We're not stuck at square one, but we're not at the finish line either. So that's just crazy, man. It's crazy. That just shows you how advanced they were, how good they were at what they were doing and designing. We can't figure it out.
This be a lost piece of ancient history or something even more unsettling? Ancient wonder at Giza. The Great Pyramid of Giza is often seen as a powerful symbol of ancient Egypt's innovation and ambition. Many people know it as Khufu's Pyramid, named after the 4th dynasty pharaoh who is traditionally credited with its construction. Historical records suggest that its building phase took place roughly between 2580 and 2560 BCE. Despite its fame, the full story of how it came to be is still being uncovered. At first glance, many assume that the ancient Egyptians planned and executed this structure without outside influence. Yet some experts have speculated that pieces of older knowledge or existing foundations might have been adapted during its creation. Early visitors believed that the pyramid held magical secrets. Others assumed it was a storehouse of hidden wisdom. Over centuries, many stories have swirled around Giza's grandest monument. Ancient Greek historians, including Herodotus, wrote about the pyramid's creation long after it was completed. Their accounts often included rumors, second-hand tales, and fanciful detail. Over time, further explorations have refined our understanding, especially with systematic excavations and closer reading of Egyptian texts. However, the actual construction methods, logistical solutions, and day-to-day management involved in raising such a colossal structure spark fascination even now. The Old Kingdom era was a time of centralization, architectural bloom, and economic might. During Khufu's reign, the realm was rich in resources thanks to Nile agriculture and trade routes. Skilled laborers, stone cutters, architects, and logistical planners all worked together to fulfill the pharaoh's vision.
I often find myself wondering, like, how many people did it actually take? We see the photos, the pictures, and different things in the past, and I still don't think it does it justice. Like, how many people do you think it took to construct this thing? You know, they talk about, were they slaves or were they just people that came from all around to assist? We never got the answer to that either, but I just want to know the number, the actual number.
They left behind not just a monument, but also a puzzle of engineering that many still strive to unravel. Before Khufu's pyramid emerged, earlier rulers, such as Djoser, built stepped pyramids at Saqqara. Sneferu, Khufu's father, experimented with different designs, perfecting true pyramid shapes at Meidum and Dashur. By the time of Khufu, engineering knowledge had reached a new level. Many see the Great Pyramid as the pinnacle of that expertise, highlighting both the ambition of the king and the empire's practical capabilities. Modern archaeological methods have offered insights into the workforce, tool use, and logistics that shaped this masterpiece. Texts like the pyramid texts and the writings on temple walls provide glimpses into religious motives and the ideology behind these structures. Fragments of evidence keep fueling discussions about whether the pyramid served purely as a tomb or if it held symbolic functions that clearly extended beyond a simple burial purpose. Architectural layout.
Yeah, I think it was more than just burials, because you've heard theories about its strategic location and its placement and what that could mean and why did they put it here, and it's just so many things that makes you think it had to be more than, you know what I mean, could have been a source of power. Like, I don't know, but burial just seems, it had to be more than that.
Layout and exterior features. From the outside, the Great Pyramid once shone with a smooth limestone casing that reflected the sun. Over centuries, most of that outer stone was removed, leaving the rougher core blocks visible. Though it now appears stepped from the outside, the original surface is thought to have had a slope. The structure's current height is about 138 meters, but it once reached around 146.6 meters. Its orientation is another point of wonder. Each side nearly lines up with the cardinal directions, showcasing a grasp of astronomy and surveying. Scholars debate how the builders achieved such precision. Some suggest they used the stars, tracking movements to position the pyramid's corners. Others think they aligned it with the rising and setting of the sun. Either way, the accuracy remains astonishing even today. When it was finished, the pyramid covered about 13 acres at its base, each side measuring roughly 230 meters. Scholars estimate that it might contain around 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing an average of 2.5 tons. Some heavier blocks near the inner sections could reach 15 tons. The mass required strong foundations and exact positioning, ensuring that the giant structure stood firm over millennia. A curious feature is the mortar used between the stones. Analysis shows it contains gypsum, along with other elements that are difficult to replicate perfectly today. The mortar's chemical makeup has sparked interest because of how well it has held the blocks together. Even though the blocks themselves are massive, this bonding agent helped maintain stability, limiting minor shifts caused by earthquakes or natural wear. Notable as well is the pyramid's summit, which likely ended in a small capstone or pyramidion. This piece might have been gilded or covered in shining metal, reflecting the intense sunlight across the region. Though no original capstone remains, references in ancient texts and in later historical writings suggest it was a point of sacred symbolism, potentially representing the primeval mound in Egyptian creation myths. Some surveys indicate that each corner is anchored into the plateau's bedrock with careful leveling. This underscores the advanced surveying skills present at the time. Drainage channels, cut into the rock, directed any water away from the foundation. The entire layout, from the precise angles of the corners to the layered stone courses, served to minimize structural stress. These careful design choices allowed the pyramid to endure harsh, extreme conditions. The hidden entrances and passages.
The fact that they thought about all of that, you know what I mean? That's the first time I ever heard anybody speak about the water and how they were able to think about that and direct the water somewhere else so it wouldn't, compromise the structure. Like, they thought of every aspect and thing while building this that they would encounter or have to deal with. Like,
Early Arab explorers recounted how the original entrance was concealed by the pyramid's casing. Caliph al-Ma'mun supposedly forced his way in around 820 CE, using brute labor to chisel a tunnel. During the digging, workers allegedly heard a stone fall within the structure. This clue helped them locate the formal entry, set around 17 meters above ground on the north face, off the central axis. Behind this entrance lies the descending passage, sloping at 26 degrees. With a narrow height of about 1.2 meters, it extends for over 100 meters down into the bedrock. At its end is the subterranean chamber, called the pit. This rough-hewn space is unfinished compared to other sections, fueling speculation about whether it was a burial chamber, a symbolic feature, or a byproduct of excavation. Partway along the descending passage, a second corridor angles upward. Known as the ascending passage, it measures around the same dimensions, but leads toward the pyramid's upper areas. Scholars think it was initially blocked by large stone plugs designed to prevent robbers from venturing deeper. These plugs fit in the corridor's width, suggesting the ancient builders were adept at crafting effective security measures. At the junction where the corridors meet, signs of forced entry are visible. Al-Ma'mun's workers had to break through some blocks when they couldn't pass the plugs. These modifications remain as proof of how determined explorers have been to unlock the pyramid's interior. Still, the carefully engineered system reveals that the original design placed a high value on protecting whatever lay inside. Modern scanning projects have identified voids in areas near these passageways. One larger space, sometimes called the Big Void, sits above the Grand Gallery. Discovered through muon tomography in 2017, it caught public attention and sparked debate about hidden rooms. Experts are unsure if these voids are structural, meant to lighten the load, or if they serve a yet unknown religious or symbolic function. Such discoveries highlight the complexity of the pyramid's internal pathways. They also serve as reminders that there may still be secrets lurking behind the stone. Even the official entrance seen today was once hidden by casing blocks. By carefully placing these layers, the Egyptians ensured that casual onlookers would have no idea where the passage began. The subterranean chamber. Located beneath the pyramid's base, the subterranean chamber is unlike the more refined spaces above. This chamber, sometimes called the unfinished chamber, is roughly hewn from the bedrock. It measures about 27 meters by 4 meters, with a ceiling that ranges around 8.6 meters high. Many archaeologists have puzzled over its purpose, since it appears incomplete compared to the other chambers in the structure. Its walls lack the smooth finish seen in the kings and queens chambers. Jagged surfaces and partial debris reflect an abrupt halt in construction or a shift in plans. Some theories propose that the builders began crafting a burial chamber here, but decided to move higher in the pyramid. Others suggest it may have served a symbolic role, or perhaps it was hastily abandoned once a new idea took hold. A small niche sits at the western end, known to some researchers as a possible attempt at further carving. The appearance of pick marks and uneven rock suggests that work was underway but never finished. Unlike the polished granite and limestone in higher sections, the subterranean chamber has a stark, raw quality that hints at an evolving construction process. Access to this chamber is only possible via the descending passage. Visitors.
So now it makes me think about, is this the complete? Is the pyramid complete? Did they finish everything that they set out to do with it? And now it makes me want to know, what more were they gonna do if it's incomplete? See, it's so, that's why I say, man, people think, okay, you hear people like, okay, it's the pyramids. No, bro, it's still so many questions surrounding it.
Descending into the space experience a noticeable temperature drop and a sense of enclosed isolation, much deeper than the main interior corridor. In older times, explorers lit torches to examine the walls, leaving soot marks that can still be spotted in certain areas. The air quality can also vary, leading some researchers to speculate about possible ventilation shafts or natural vents. The dryness of the surrounding bedrock helps preserve the chamber in its unfinished state. Any organic material left behind would remain intact for long periods, though no significant artifacts have turned up here. Despite the lower finishing quality, the subterranean chamber underscores the extreme effort that went into all levels of the pyramid. Even if it was never intended as a final resting place, its mere presence required the labor of skilled workers to carve into the bedrock. The Grand Gallery in detail. Above the ascending passage is the Grand Gallery, one of the most spectacular corridors within the pyramid. Measuring about 46.6 meters in length, 2.1 meters wide at the base, and rising around 8.6 meters high, it creates a dramatic upward route for anyone traveling toward the upper chambers. Its corbelled limestone walls slope inward at each course, forming a tall, narrow vault. The Grand Gallery's floor has a peculiar arrangement of slots or ramps along its sides. Researchers suggest these may have anchored wooden beams or sledges for moving massive blocks. Another idea is that they could have held a counterweight system. Whatever the case, the engineering here clearly demonstrates the ingenious techniques employed by ancient builders to maneuver stones weighing several tons. Walking through this soaring space reveals tightly fitted blocks that create a smooth, slanted interior surface. The masonry's precision is astonishing. Individual stones are shaped so carefully that they interlock to support the roof without mortar in many places. This type of corbelled design reduces the load on lower parts of the passage, distributing the pyramid's weight away from potential weak points. Light rarely penetrates this corridor, so past explorers relied on oil lamps or torches to navigate it. In modern times, electric lights are used to reveal the fine joins and the scale of the gallery's height. Even then, the space can feel claustrophobic due to its steep incline and towering wall. Standing at the base and looking upward often leaves an unforgettable impression of the pyramid's craftsmanship. Connecting the lower and upper parts of the pyramid, the Grand Gallery forms a central artery of sorts. It leads directly to the king's chamber, yet it also offers an offshoot.
I don't know if he said it or not, but is that part accessible to the public? Because if are there tours actually going through that, or that's only for those who are exploring it and trying to figure it out? Because if that's part of it, I'm definitely, I have that on my, it's already on my list to visit, but man, it stays at the top if I can get to some of those places. But I couldn't really tell.
To the Queen's chamber. Some researchers have speculated about hidden rooms branching off its sides, though no confirmed passages have been found aside from the known route to the Queen's chamber. The presence of such a grand corridor suggests that movement of significant materials or ritual processes was critical. While it may have served a purely functional role in the pyramid's construction, others see it as a ceremonial walkway. The gallery's imposing dimensions and corbelled ceiling convey a sense of awe that would align well with a spiritual journey, should that have been part of the original plan. The Queen's Chamber. Often overshadowed by the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber still intrigues archaeologists. Despite its name, there is no direct evidence that any queen was ever buried here. It measures around 5.75 meters by 5.25 meters, rising to about 6.25 meters in height. The walls are smoother than those in the subterranean chamber, and its gabled ceiling creates a pointed form not seen elsewhere above. Some theories propose that the Queen's Chamber was a secondary burial chamber in case plans change, or that it was meant for symbolic rituals related to the pharaoh's spiritual journey. Others point to the possibility that it was used to house certain statues or cult objects, given the serene nature of the space. Its exact function remains elusive, fueling ongoing debate. Two small shafts extend from the chamber's north and south wall. Early assumptions were that these served as ventilation passages. but they were initially sealed off. In more recent times, probes have explored these channels, revealing that they lead partway through the pyramid before being blocked or closed. Researchers have proposed that these might be star shafts, aligned towards certain celestial bodies or purely symbolic architectural features. The chamber's floor is relatively level, formed of limestone blocks that fit neatly together. Archaeological work has shown no official sarcophagus or burial artifact within its confines. Some explorers even suspected a hidden corridor beneath the floor, but so far, no such passage has been found. Excavations by various teams, using radar and other tools, have failed to uncover any further hidden spaces connected to it. An interesting aspect is the chamber's overall atmosphere. Compared to the Grand Gallery, it is calmer and more contained. Researchers note that the air feels slightly cooler, perhaps due to the enclosed space and the insulating qualities of the surrounding stone.
I mean, that's good for the people who were working on it back then. Imagine being inside and it being hot. Yeah. Then you would be able to definitely be like, yeah, they had to force people to design this thing, especially with the conditions.
Earlier centuries, visitors described feeling a sense of tranquility or silence here, though such observations are subjective. Over time, the room has become a focal point for unconventional theories. Some enthusiasts claim it holds the key to mystical energy, while others tie it to legends of secret archives. Mainstream Egyptologists generally see it as part of the pyramid's development plan, completed for a specific purpose that remains only partly understood. The King's Chamber and Relieving Chambers. At the heart of the pyramid's design lies the King's Chamber, a rectangular room measuring around 10.5 meters by 5.2 meters. Crafted primarily from large granite blocks, it features a flat ceiling made of massive granite beams. The glossy red granite walls give it a stark beauty, standing out from the limestone passages below. This chamber is traditionally believed to have housed Khufu's sarcophagus. In fact, there is a granite sarcophagus still in the chamber, its lid long gone. It is slightly larger than the passageways leading inside, indicating it must have been placed during construction. The sarcophagus's presence supports the idea that this room was indeed intended as the royal burial site, at least in conventional interpretations. Yet no confirmed remains of Khufu have ever been discovered here. Above the King's Chamber are 5 small compartments, known as relieving chambers. Each layer consists of substantial granite slabs arranged horizontally, with the topmost level featuring a pointed roof of gabled blocks. Their purpose is to divert the enormous weight of the pyramid away from the ceiling of the King's Chamber, preventing collapse. This system reveals a highly advanced understanding of load distribution. The first 4 relieving chambers are relatively accessible through small openings carved by early explorers. The highest, sometimes called the Campbell's Chamber, was reached in the 19th century by means of rudimentary climbing. Explorers found workers' graffiti on the walls, including cartouches referencing Khufu. This graffiti is frequently cited as evidence that the chamber was built during Khufu's reign, not at some distant earlier date. Acoustic properties of the King's Chamber draw interest as well. Some claim that if you strike the granite walls, a resonant tone can be heard. There have been suggestions that these frequencies had symbolic or ceremonial importance. Though mainstream researchers are cautious when interpreting acoustic theories, they acknowledge the remarkable sonic qualities that occur within the precise geometry of a granite enclosure. The environment in the King's Chamber is hot and stuffy for modern visitors, especially when groups crowd inside. Ventilation shafts exit from the north and south walls, though these were discovered later by explorers who cleared debris blocking them. Surrounding structures and solar boat pits. Beyond the Great Pyramid itself, the Giza Plateau contains an array of structures tied to Khufu's reign and to later construction. One key discovery was the pair of solar boat pits near the pyramid. Unearthed in 1954, these pits contained 2 carefully dismantled wooden boats.
Yeah, where do you think they were getting some of that stuff, the stones and different things they used to construct the pyramids? a lot of that stuff was brought in from all over. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't there around that area. No, they went and got some things, and it was probably delivered there by boat.
First was painstakingly reassembled and can be seen in a dedicated museum. The second remains buried, awaiting careful excavation and conservation methods. These so-called solar boats measure around 43 meters in length, built from Lebanese cedar planks, joined by rope bindings. They are masterpieces of ancient shipbuilding. Scholars generally agree they served a ritual function, possibly transporting the pharaoh's spirit during his journey with the sun god. Another idea is that they were funerary boats carrying Khufu in a ceremonial procession to his final resting place. In close proximity, smaller pyramids dedicated to Khufu's wives and family members stand as well. These are often referred to as the Queen's Pyramids, separate from the main pyramid, but aligned to demonstrate a planned complex. Additional mastabas for nobles and officials cluster around, revealing a broader necropolis that supported the cult of the deceased king. Temples and causeways connected these sites, forming a grand architectural program. Archaeologists have uncovered traces of a mortuary temple adjacent to the pyramid. Although much of it is now ruined, surviving foundations hint at where priests made offerings to support the king's eternal life. Texts imply that daily rituals took place here, with food, incense, and prayers offered to maintain Khufu's divine status in the afterlife. Over time, these temples expanded or became repurposed. The relationship between the pyramid and the Sphinx is also part of the plateau's allure. The Great Sphinx, located near the second pyramid, is commonly associated with Khafre, Khufu's son. Though not directly linked to Khufu's pyramid, it is an integral element of the site's symbolic landscape. Many visitors to Giza see the pyramids and the Sphinx as a unified masterpiece of Old Kingdom vision. Extensive quarrying activity near the site shows where builders sourced much of the limestone. The Tura quarries, located across the Nile, yielded the finer stone once used for casing. Transporting these large blocks would have required elaborate logistics, including barges, ramps, sledges, and organized labor teams.
See, that's what I was saying. Like, that stuff wasn't just sitting there, to which they probably used some things that were around the area, but they had to go get some things that required boats and other things to get it to them. And look what they had to use to get it up, the ramp to get it to, like, this whole setup, man. This thing had to be thought out, and it took time, and it took, like, that's why I say, again, back to my original, I wonder how many people. That's why I always end up back here. How many people?
This broader environment of interconnected structures, boat pits, temples, and quarries reflects the immense scale of the overall project. Workers' tombs and social insights. In the early 1990s, an exciting discovery shed new light on the people who built the Great Pyramid, the tombs of the workers. Located southeast of the monument, these tombs contained the remains of individuals who labored on the construction site. Archaeologists uncovered that they worked in rotating shifts, suggesting a form of organized labor rather than an enslaved workforce. The workers' remains gave important clues about their lives. Study of the skeletons revealed signs of healed injuries, indicating that laborers received medical attention. The presence of nutrients in their bones also suggests a decent diet, which may have included bread, beer, fish, and meat. This challenges older assumptions that the pyramids were built solely through forced slave labor. Instead, these findings point to a society in which workers had certain rights and were fed properly. The tomb structures themselves were often crafted from mud brick or quarry stone. Some contained small offerings, hieroglyphic inscriptions.
Just because they had certain rights and were fed properly don't mean they still weren't forced laborers. Like, what did that mean by, what do you thought you was gonna accomplish by saying that? You thought we would say, okay, well then they weren't slaves. No, that really still does nothing for me. I still say there's still a possibility.
Or simple personal goods. These modest burials still demonstrate a measure of respect, implying that builders held a recognized status. Officials overseeing pyramid construction might have rewarded them with these tombs in the necropolis, ensuring a resting place near the pharaoh's monument. Such discoveries indicate that the project needed a skilled and motivated workforce. Various craft specialists, from stonemasons to carpenters, likely collaborated under overseers who tracked progress. Administrative records, such as the famous Merah Diary found at Wadi al-Jarf, mention delivering Tura limestone for Khufu's pyramid. These texts, while fragmentary, confirm the structured nature of the labor force and supply chains. Animal bones recovered from nearby middens detail that cattle, sheep, and goats were slaughtered to feed the workers, emphasizing that the pyramid site was a major hub of economic activity. Pottery fragments, tools, and personal ornaments round out the picture of daily life. Rather than a site of oppression, Giza emerges as a place where laborers, artisans, and administrators converged for a grand building scheme. This re-evaluation of the workforce also ties into the broader view of Old Kingdom society. State-organized projects like pyramid building demanded elaborate coordination. Rulers offered compensation, rations, and burial arrangements for laborers. While work was undoubtedly strenuous, the existence of these tombs counters the long-standing myth that the pyramids were constructed by vast hordes of slaves. Additional discoveries and theories. Not far from the Great Pyramid, the burial site of Queen Hetepheres was found by archaeologist George Reisner in 1925. She is believed to have been Khufu's mother. Her tomb, discovered northeast of the pyramid, contained exquisite furniture like a gilded bed and an ornate carrying chair. Yet her body was missing, sparking theories that her remains could have been relocated or lost. This puzzle continues to intrigue scholars. Farther across the plateau, archaeologists found the tomb of Khentkaus I, sometimes called the Fourth Pyramid. It blends features of a standard mastaba and a small pyramid structure. Though incomplete, it highlights the diverse experimentation with tomb design in this era. The location near the Great Pyramid underscores that Giza was a focal point for the royal family's monumental ambitions. Excavations around the pyramid have also brought to light fragments of Khufu's mortuary temple and causeway. Inscribed blocks, offering tables, and bits of statues help archaeologists piece together the religious rites performed to honor the king. Stone reliefs might depict priests bearing offerings, reinforcing the constant ritual activity once practiced at the site to keep the royal soul content in the afterlife. One particularly curious artifact is the so-called inventory stela, discovered near the Sphinx in the 19th century. Though its date and authenticity are debated, it references repairs to the Sphinx during the time of Khufu. This led to claims that the Sphinx might predate Khafra, or that earlier structures existed before the official timeline. Experts, however, caution that this stela likely dates to a later period, reflecting local traditions that tried to link their monuments to more ancient origins. Meanwhile, modern tools keep unveiling new data. Ground-penetrating radar and 3D mapping have revealed unsuspected cavities beneath and around the pyramid. Some might be natural fissures, while others could be hidden chambers. In every case, the possibility of further surprises continues to inspire research teams. There is also growing interest in understanding how environmental changes over millennia may have affected the plateau's geological stability. Alternative theories sometimes propose that the Great Pyramid predated the dynastic Egyptians. Advocates point to the advanced nature of the engineering and claim that the ancient civilization merely inherited it. Mainstream Egyptologists firmly date it to Khufu's reign, supported by inscriptions in relieving chambers and the historical context of Old Kingdom pyramid building. Still, the allure of unsolved mysteries keeps speculation alive. Across time, each new dig adds a layer of insight while raising further questions. Giza remains an active archaeological zone, with carefully managed projects continuing under the watchful eye of Egyptian authorities. While certain parts of this ancient complex have been studied for centuries, other areas remain only partly explored. Patches of buried architecture, unknown tunnels, and possible undiscovered artifacts promise that our understanding of the Great Pyramid's story is far from complete. In this way, the Great Pyramid of Giza continues to grip the world's imagination, from its base to its hidden voids, from its external gleam to the subterranean depths.
That makes me think. I wonder if there's more tombs in there. If they're still finding hidden chambers, there could be potentially more tombs in there that have yet to be discovered. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, no, man, it's still a lot to be done with the pyramids.
Offers an endless source of fascination. Each chamber, passage, and artifact both clarifies and complicates our view of ancient Egypt's grand achievements, ensuring that this monument's legacy endures in the hearts and minds of all who ponder its towering shape.